Namaskar. Today we will discuss about a transit technique to determine when in your life a sudden change will happen. And this technique is based on transit of slow moving planet, particularly Saturn. So as we all know, the 8th house is relevant for longevity. And longevity as such is the is one of the key things that people see in astrology. And this 8th house, if it is strong, it means that you will have a long life. And loss of this 8th house, which is the 7th house, that is 12th from the 8th house, it represents the Marakasthana, that is a house for death. And in the same way, from the Bhavat Bhavam principle, 8th house and 8th from 8th, which is the third house also represents longevity, health. And loss of third house, that is 12th from third house, is the second house, which is again another Maraka. And this second and seventh, these two houses, they are the Marakasthana. They inflict death, they result in death and death like situations to the individual. So if third and eighth house they are strong, their lords are strong, then a person has long life. He is said to have long life and good longevity, good health, and all those things. Now, in the same way, you will see that eighth house is also looked for or analyzed for change in life, because when something fundamental changes in life, then eighth house is involved, because that situation is like a new incarnation of yourself, because you have changed your old beliefs. Now you have stepped into your new beliefs, or your old house or old body, and something really fundamental has changed. So just like at the time of death, when the longevity is over, and at the time of death, soul takes on a new form, just like we change clothes every day. In the same way, when body is no more capable to carry out its functions and its fulfill its karmas, then soul takes a new birth. And with the new body, it tries to fulfill its karma, and as per the sanskaras or the hidden intentions and desires it has accumulated over several past births. But in this life itself, when eighth house is involved, then it represents that something fundamental is going to change, and that you will bury yourself, or it is like a situation of dying and then recreating yourself. Okay, so the transit here is now uh, fast moving planets like Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, when they transit uh, with respect to 8th house, the change is also very minuscule, or not of that great magnificence. But when slow moving planets like Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, Jupiter, when they pass, and we see vis a vis the eighth house Lord, and the eighth house Arudha, then we come to know at what point of time this person is going to have a lot of change in his life. For example, you take Saturn. Okay, Saturn is a karmic planet. It holds whatever you have done in this life, in your past lives, and the big burden of karma. Okay, so when Saturn transits in trines to your eighth lord, eighth house, or eighth house Arudha. Let me repeat: when Saturn transits in trine to eighth house, eighth lord, and eighth house Arudha, that is A8. So when Saturn transits these houses, then there will be lot of change in your life, and this change will be like a catharsis, because Saturn is the planet of karma. It holds all the unfinished tasks and the results of those tasks that you have already performed in its store. So it is like when Saturn is in some other house where these eighth house, eighth lord, and A8, they're not actually getting affected. Then suppose you go on accumulating wealth or go on accumulating a lot of fame, but behind that wealth or behind that fame, there are some things hidden, that karmic burden that you go on building. Whenever Saturn comes in trying to these eighth house things, then that hidden thing will start to manifest. So it will work like catharsis. You will lose your fame, you will lose your wealth, or suppose you just go on stuffing yourselves with a lot of things, and a lot of carbohydrates and a lot of food, sweets and junk things you go on eating. So that is also like a karma, and your body will get affected. But when Saturn comes into trine, then the catharsis starts, and there will be a trigger. There will be, because nothing, you will not start everything on your own. It will happen that something happens to your health, you get diagnosed with some disease, and then you start to look into advices from nutritionists, dietists, and ayurveda and all those things, and you come to know, okay, I should not have eaten this, or I should have eaten this. So all those things will come into picture, and you'll start losing your weight, whatever you have gained, that you start to lose. So that is the level of catharsis. If you have accumulated a lot of negative emotions and lot of enmity, jealousy with people, then this will be the time when those negative emotions start to give you bad results. It will start to affect your mind and your behavior in the society, and and also your body. And you will suddenly realize, what the hell is this, and you will start that process of catharsis. That cleansing will start. So you will start meditating, you'll start introspecting, you'll start judging yourself, you'll start looking at your ego and determining, okay, these are the points that needs to be rectified. So this is the effect. When and now see, the effect will be different depending on um, to what, like whether it is with respect to eighth house, or whether it is respect to eighth lord, and whether it is respect to Arudha 8. The maximum visible result will be available when it is intrines to A8, that is Arudha, because as we all know, Arudha is the Maya. Okay, by Maya, what I mean, whatever you see in the world is nothing but Arudha. Nobody sees how you feel, nobody sees what you intend to do. People will see what you do, what concretely happens in the world. If you lose 10 kg, people will start noticing you. If you gain 5 kg, people will start noticing you. If you change your clothes to Bhagava, become a sannyasi, people will start noticing you. But if you change within, nobody will see you. Okay, so that's Arudha. Okay, so since A8 is the most important with respect to what we see in this world, so we have to see transit of slow moving planets like Saturn, Rahu, Ketu with respect to A8, and then you can judge that maximum change is going to happen during this time. Okay, there are also effects when it is in transit to 8th house. When it is in transit to 8th house, it means your environment will change. Your environment will tell you to change. But what happens with respect to 8th house lord? Because that is the main intelligence that is working towards that particular change. If it is not in trance with 8th lord, then actually you will not put any effort in doing that change. And on the contrary, suppose Saturn comes in transit to all these three signs, all these three places at once, then you can expect maximum impact or maximum catharsis during those 2.5 years. Okay, so this is the small, short, and sweet technique. Hope you enjoyed this video. Dhanyavad.